Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, severe storms destroy homes and businesses in Texas. A witness remembers watching her life's work being damaged. Plus, college presidents testify on Capitol Hill about recent protests, what they told lawmakers.
Plus, the weather pattern stays busy through this holiday weekend. Your forecast coming up as Mountain News at 5:30 starts now.
Dedicated to southern and eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. After a soggy morning, a few strong to severe storms are possible this evening. First Alert meteorologist Cameron Aaron is keeping a close eye on the radar. Cameron.
Yeah, Steve, some good news. We have no active warnings at this point, but we do have a severe thunderstorm watch for all the counties in yellow, from Jackson to Hazard back to the west. Now, this does not mean everyone will see severe weather this evening. For most of us, we have no severe weather issues, but a few strong storms cannot be ruled out, especially along and west of I-75 as we go into this evening. Right now, on First Alert Pinpoint Doppler, not too bad. A little bit of drizzle pushing into the Big Sandy Valley from Johnson County, pushing into parts of Elliott. Also, Lawrence County, a first alert over in Louisa. A little bit of light rain pushing into your neck of the woods over the next little bit. But notice we are tracking some showers and thunderstorms over south central Kentucky. A severe thunderstorm warning just to the south of Burkesville. And I do think the better chance for a severe storm will stay close to Lake Cumberland into this evening. And the main threats, strong straight line winds, also heavy rainfall. But again, not overly concerned with that severe weather chance this evening. Now, that could change as we go into your Sunday. Possibly another round of strong to severe storms by Sunday as we go into this holiday weekend. More details on that Sunday threat coming up in just a little bit. Steve?
All right, Cameron, thanks. First responders in Texas are dealing with the aftermath of severe storms on Wednesday. Officials in the city of Temple say one plane was blown over at the Temple airport. The Temple Mall also sustained damage. A pet grooming studio owner talked about living through the storm and the damage her business endured overnight.
And then the sirens wouldn't stop, and I started seeing the dark. It turned black, and I was still on the phone with him. And then I started seeing the wind blow harder, and I started screaming, "It's coming, it's here."
Howard says the storms demolished her house and business. No injuries were reported. First responders are still working to restore power in areas hit by those storms. We are in for an active hurricane season this year, with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration predicting an above average 2024 Atlantic season. NOAA is predicting 17 to 25 named storms from June through November, the highest number ever for the May outlook. 8 to 13 are forecast to become hurricanes, and 4 to 7 could become major hurricanes, with maximum sustained winds of 111 miles per hour. Officials say it's never too early to get ready.
Now is the time to prepare and stay prepared. Remember, it only takes one storm to devastate a community.
On those Category 5s, the average lead time was 50 hours. Preparedness, got to be ready for these storms.
The National Weather Service says in the last decade, 90% of fatalities result from water, half of which are people stuck in cars. Officials say deaths from storm surge have actually decreased because of evacuations. The presidents of UCLA, Rutgers, and Northwestern testified on Capitol Hill about how they handled pro-Palestinian demonstrations on their college campuses. Republican lawmakers accused them of not taking enough action to address the rise in anti-Semitism and concerns from Jewish students who say they felt threatened. CBS's Natalie Brand reports from Capitol Hill.
The wave of pro-Palestinian demonstrations that spread across college campuses nationwide took center stage on Capitol Hill Thursday.
The goal is to engage with students to the extent possible.
House Republicans pressed Northwestern University President Michael Schill about Jewish students' claims that encampment protesters harassed them.
I'm asking the question you're required to answer. Isn't it true that a Jewish Northwestern student was assaulted?
We are investigating those allegations.
Committee Chair Republican Virginia Fox criticized Schill as well as Rutgers President Jonathan Holloway for negotiating with students to disband the encampments.
You should be doubly ashamed for capitulating to the anti-Semitic rule breakers.
The battle against anti-Semitism, against bigotry in all of its forms, must be waged with education.
Democrats on the committee defended students' right to peacefully protest and questioned campus crackdowns involving law enforcement. At UCLA, Chancellor Jean Block enlisted the police to help disband encampments, resulting in more than 200 arrests.
This encampment was against policy.
You should be ashamed for letting a peaceful protest gathering get hijacked by an angry mob.
Among demonstrators' core demands that schools divest from companies that do business with Israel.
I would never recommend to the Board of Trustees divestment.
Ezra Pfeffer, who just graduated from Rutgers, attended the hearing and said he wants to see more from his university's leadership.
Comply with their own code of conduct, They make it very clear that they don't tolerate anti-Semitism. Let's see it.
Students say they want an action plan in place before they return in the fall. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
When pressed by Republicans on how many students have been disciplined, the college president said there are still investigations underway. Protesters in Israel hosted a demonstration today aimed at reminding Israelis that the fate of the hostages held in Gaza is in their hands. The protesters held up to their faces photos of the faces of hostages. Demonstrators calling for the release of the remaining nearly 130 hostages have staged many protests. At least 35,000 Palestinians have been killed, according to Gaza's health ministry, which does not distinguish between combatants and civilians. The coffin carrying the body of late Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi arrived in Mashhad together with 2 other victims of a helicopter crash ahead of a burial ceremony. Thursday ceremonies follow a funeral prayer led by Iran's supreme leader in Tehran, attended by 40 foreign dignitaries. Raisi, the Iranian foreign minister, and 6 other passengers and crew were killed in that crash. The flag flown at the January 6th riot was also seen outside Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito's New Jersey vacation home. The New York Times reports the Appeal to Heaven flag was on display at his property. The flag has become a symbol for Donald Trump supporters. The report comes a week after the Times published a photo of an upside-down American flag at Alito's Virginia home. Alito commented on that matter, saying his wife put up the flag in response to a spat with neighbors. The largest live event promoter in the country is coming under fire from the government after the company had an issue with perhaps the most famous singer in the world. The result could mean lower ticket prices in the future. CBS's Skylar Henry has more on that from Washington.
Ticketmaster and its parent company, Live Nation, are being told to part ways in a new lawsuit following the Taylor Swift ticket fiasco.
Taylor Swift was the one who made those abuses most famous.
The Department of Justice, along with 29 states and the District of Columbia, filed the antitrust lawsuit saying the companies drive out competition, which leads to higher prices for concert goers.
We allege that Live Nation has illegally monopolized markets across the live concert industry in the United States for far too long. It is time to break it up.
The Justice Department says Live Nation promotes the concerts, manages the artists, owns many of the venues, then is often the exclusive seller of tickets to those events. The DOJ claims the company controls around 60% of concert promotions at major venues and 80% of the ticketing.
The result is that fans pay more in fees, artists have fewer opportunities to play concerts, smaller promoters get squeezed out, and venues have fewer real choices for ticketing services.
To drive home the point, the Justice Department says fans attending concerts in Europe pay far less because competition among ticket brokers is more robust and they charge fewer fees. Caroline Matlock flew from Houston to Sweden to see Taylor Swift, where it was much cheaper.
We probably would have paid 2.5 times what we paid, maybe 3.
Live Nation alleges the DOJ is under political pressure to act and issued a statement saying calling Ticketmaster a monopoly may be a PR win for the DOJ in the short term, but it will lose in court because it ignores the basic economics of live entertainment. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Washington.
Live Nation also says that Ticketmaster is not a monopoly, saying that it has faced increasing competition and has seen its market share shrink since 2010. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, having a pet can be expensive. An expert weighs in on how pet insurance can impact that.
Plus, we could see a few storms this evening, timing out those rain chances after this break.